Right now, this is our time in the studio with Carolina Coral. I welcome the viewers of Freedom. Let's get straight to the news. Over the past week, the Russian army has used 1,000 attack drones, the same number of guided aerial bombs, and 36 missiles against Ukraine. This was reported by President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He noted that the aftermath of the shelling in Kharkiv, Odessa, and Dnipropetrovsk regions is still being dealt with. Rescue workers are also operating in the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. And last night, the Russians launched more than 170 drones at Ukraine.
Every night requires a multi-layered defense of the skies. Air defense systems, combat aviation, mobile fire teams, and interceptor drones. We are actively working with our partners on each of these components to strengthen Ukraine's defense. We have prepared new, strong agreements with Europe to significantly reinforce our air defense, our resilience, and our diplomacy. Glory to Ukraine! Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, on Telegram.
The president of Ukraine will discuss the protection of Ukrainian airspace as well as support for the energy sector and defense during his official visits to European countries. Volodymyr Zelenskyy has already arrived in Greece, where he met with his counterpart Konstantinos Tsoulas. One of the key issues is cooperation between the countries in the energy sector. As the president of Ukraine has clearly stated, Kiev has already successfully reached important agreements with Athens on additional natural gas supplies.
From the very beginning of this unprovoked and illegal Russian invasion, our country has consistently and steadfastly stood by Ukraine in your tremendous and courageous efforts and ongoing struggle to defend your national sovereignty and precious freedom, just as the rest of Europe and all of the countries of the European Union have done as well.
Later, we will discuss in more detail in our main story the specifics of Volodymyr Zelenskyy's visit to Athens and what to expect from his upcoming trips to other European countries. France and Spain are also on the agenda. And now, moving on to the latest consequences of Russian shelling in Ukraine. One person was injured as a result of Russian shelling in the Sumy region. The aggressor used drones and kamikaze drones. The strike caused a large-scale fire to break out. This was reported by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. Private homes, a non-residential building, and power lines were damaged. The Odessa region was also targeted by the Russian army. The aggressor used drones for the attack. Fires broke out at energy infrastructure facilities as a result of the strikes. Firefighters quickly extinguished the blaze. A solar power plant was also damaged. There were no casualties or injuries. One person was killed in Zaporizhia region as a result of Russian shelling. Another person was wounded. This was reported by the National Police of Ukraine. Over the course of the day, the Russians carried out 769 strikes on settlements in the region. Nearly 1,000 drones, MLRS, artillery, and aircraft were used in the attack. As a result of the strikes, homes and civilian vehicles were damaged and destroyed. Law enforcement officers evacuated 4 people. The Russian army killed 3 more and wounded 14 civilians over the past day in Donetsk and Kherson regions. This was reported by the local military administrations of these regions. Specifically, in Donetsk region, the Russians killed 1 resident, and in Kherson, 2 people died. Also at midnight, the Russian army dropped explosives on a man in the Dnipro district of Kherson. He was wounded. More than 12,000 subscribers in the Kharkiv region were left without electricity after a Russian shelling. According to Lozova city mayor Serhiy Zelenskyy, the aggressor mainly targets energy facilities. Most boiler houses are temporarily out of service, and the remaining ones are operating at minimal capacity. Apartment buildings, private homes, as well as educational institutions have been damaged. There were no casualties at all. On the night of November 16th, Russia once again attacked Ukraine. The enemy used an Iskander-M ballistic missile, as well as 176 attack drones of the Shahed and Gerbera types. According to the Ukrainian Air Force Command, Ukrainian air defense managed to neutralize 139 Russian drones. The air attacks were repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare, and drone units, as well as mobile fire groups of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. And at the front, over the past day, the Ukrainian Defense Forces eliminated another 860 Russian occupiers. Thus, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the total combat losses of the Russian army since the beginning of the full-scale invasion have exceeded 1,158,000 personnel. In addition, over the past day, Ukrainian fighters destroyed 3 tanks, the same number of armored vehicles, 26 artillery systems, and 2 multiple rocket launchers. Thank you. They shot down 409 operational tactical UAVs and destroyed 68 units of enemy automotive equipment. Over the past day, there were 176 combat engagements on the front line. This was reported by Ukraine's General Staff. In the intense Pokrovsk direction, Ukrainian defenders repelled 52 enemy attacks. In Kostiantynivka, 19 attacks were stopped. Another 20 assault actions were recorded in the Alexandrivka direction. In the Sloviansk and Holyapel directions, there were 12 attacks each. In addition, in the Pridniprovsky direction, Russian occupiers attempted 3 assault actions near the Antonivsky Bridge. All the attacks were unsuccessful. Ukraine's defense forces carried out a successful strike on an oil refinery located in Russia's Samara region, as well as targeting a drone warehouse at the Rubikon unit. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, these operations are aimed at reducing the enemy's offensive potential and complicating the supply of fuel and ammunition to Russian troops. The Novokubashavsk oil refinery with it. Its processing capacity is nearly 9 million tons per year. The plant is one of the main producers of fuel for jet engines, storage bases for Russian drones, and a pumping station in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk region were also destroyed. Ukrainian Marines of the 40th Separate Coastal Defense Brigade continuously and diligently hone their essential military skills, always striving for improvement. Tasks on the water are among the most difficult. The success of the entire operation depends on speed and coordination. How are soldiers prepared for such conditions, and what challenges do they face during combat missions? Find out in the report by Daria Litovsenko.
Landing on the shore, navigating the terrain, and securing positions, the soldiers of the 40th Separate Coastal Defense Brigade of the 30th Marine Corps are practicing their landing skills.
On occupied territory, to regroup and deliver some kind of blow to the enemy.
Every movement must be honed to the point of automatism. This isn't just about physical training, but about being able to act quickly, quietly, and precisely.
In the specific area where we operate, the dynamics and speed play a very significant and important role. We work extensively on the water, during the dark season and bad weather and so on. Today, we trained with the new guys who came after completing their basic and general military training. They have now officially joined the unit, and we are now starting to gradually get them up to speed, integrating them into our demanding routines.
Most operations are carried out under the cover of night, but even in the dark, there's always the risk of being spotted by Russian drones.
There are a lot of drones. There are tons of FPV, Mavic, Zala, Supercam. They film, they target, and they have a huge range. We're what you call a priority target for the Army. Training people, as well as providing the necessary gear and equipment, it all requires funding and resources. On the water, you can't hide anywhere, unless you have the skills or just get lucky.
On the water, the crew becomes an easy target, so the success of the operation largely depends on the navigator. This mission is carried out by a fighter with the call sign Romanian. His job is to deliver infantry, evacuate the wounded, transport prisoners, and bring in ammunition.
The landing troops also need to have strong and reliable skills in the water so that they always listen carefully to the helmsman mechanic, since he is their direct commander, and you are the one who gives the orders no matter what their rank or position is. They need to thoroughly cover their assigned sectors, one by one, and absolutely no one should be slacking off, whether they are going there or coming back. Do they?
Follow your orders?
Listen, what can you do? Everyone wants to stay alive. On the way back, of course, the guys are already relaxed. They think it's all over. But for us, even the way back isn't the end. You have to stay focused both going there and coming back.
If the enemy spots the boat, then you have to instantly change course or postpone the operation.
The guys need to reach another enemy outpost and then take up positions carefully. Make sure you don't get spotted. If at any point you realize you've been spotted, then you have to change things up immediately. Change your location.
Sometimes you have to work completely blind. The Romanian recalls one of the toughest operations, evacuating a fighter who had lost contact.
The difficulty was that we didn't know the exact location. We really didn't know. We just approached one spot, called out, but didn't hear anything, so we turned back. There was no response. We were already heading back when I just happened to hear his reply by chance. At that point, he was left alone because his comrade had been taken about 200 meters away. Well, in our case...
That's why the Marines' training is as close to real combat as possible. The soldiers practice every detail, from landing to reaching the line. The main thing is communication, since it plays a crucial role on the battlefield.
In battle, there's often a great deal of chaos and confusion. People can easily get lost in the commotion, and that's usually when everything truly starts to unfold. The commander definitely has to take charge in these moments. He needs to carefully manage the situation, making sure to give clear and specific orders to his team. These orders are important because they help preserve the lives of the special unit, ensuring that everyone stays as safe as possible while carrying out their mission.
Archie has served in the Ukrainian army since 2014, including ATO, JFO, and Defense of Mariupol. Since 2023, he's been working as an instructor, passing on his experience to his brothers in arms.
We are able to hear each other clearly and can make certain specific maneuvers together as needed. But when you are on the water, things become much more difficult and challenging. For the infantry, for the soldiers themselves, there are emergency situations that can happen, such as falling out of the boat or similar incidents. In these moments, the soldiers are wearing body armor and carrying all their equipment, which adds a lot of weight. This extra weight means you are not mobile at all, and your ability to move is almost completely lost, making it very hard to swim or react quickly. In both cases, whether on land or on water, there is always a danger that threatens our lives and constantly reminds us of the risks we face. And that's exactly how we operate. Every day, we dedicate ourselves to this work. We teach people by sharing our knowledge and experience, and we also work to improve ourselves so that everything becomes safer. Our goal is to make sure people understand what to do, why it matters, and how to act in different situations, so that everyone feels prepared and confident.
We work, we practice, we teach, and we'll continue to keep on doing it for as long as we possibly can, as long as we have the strength left within us.
On the water, there's no room for error. Every Marine is trained for situations where seconds decide everything. Marines are trained as versatile fighters, capable of carrying out missions in any terrain and in any weather. Daria Litovchenko for Freedom TV channel.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we're returning to the main topic for discussion in this episode, namely Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Athens. So, Ukraine and Greece have signed an agreement on the sale of natural gas. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced this following his meeting with Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis. In this way, Ukraine gains access to reliable energy sources, while Greece becomes a hub for the supply of American liquefied natural gas to Central and Eastern Europe. Zelenskyy also noted that this is another step toward independence from Russian raw materials.
We have reached an extremely important agreement on gas supplies to Ukraine. In fact, almost every night now, the Russians strike our infrastructure, most often targeting our energy sector. Most power plants in Ukraine, our gas production facilities, and our thermal power stations have become targets for missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, and Iranian drones. North Korean missiles. All sorts of things are flying into Ukraine. We rebuild every time the Russians destroy something, but it really takes a lot of time and equipment. As for natural gas, imports are necessary to compensate for the destruction of our own production by the Russians. Our agreement with Greece today is an important part of a large energy package that we have prepared for this winter to ensure that Ukraine is reliably supplied with the gas it needs.
This is a new, secure energy artery that runs from south to north, from Greece to Ukraine. In this way, Ukraine gains access to reliable energy sources, and Greece becomes a hub for the supply of American liquefied natural gas to Central and Eastern Europe. This will make a decisive contribution to energy stability, resilience, and security, not only for our region, but for yours as well. The project became possible thanks to the geographical location of the infrastructure and Greece's strategic partnerships. All of this serves as a catalyst on the path to independence from Russian natural gas. After all, very soon Europe will stop buying Russian gas, and it will no longer need to be imported to our continent.
In addition, Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced a historic agreement to strengthen Ukraine's combat aviation and protect its skies. The document will be signed tomorrow, November 17th. This will take place in Paris. The Ukrainian leader will be received by French President Emmanuel Macron. After that, Zelenskyy has a visit planned to Spain. There, the issue of strengthening Ukraine's air defense will also be discussed. At the same time, France condemned the Russian strikes on Ukraine, particularly those targeting Kyiv, energy facilities, residential areas, and hospitals across the country. This was stated by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They noted that these attacks have resulted in numerous casualties, with many people wounded, including children. The Foreign Ministry expressed absolute solidarity with Ukraine and its people. France announced that it will continue to work with its partners to strengthen support for Ukraine and increase pressure on Russia to end the war.
These large-scale strikes, which involved the deployment of approximately 430 drones as well as 18 missiles, all launched in several successive volleys, represent a significant new escalation of the ongoing conflict and clearly demonstrate Russia's apparent lack of genuine desire to achieve a lasting peace, according to an official statement released by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Belgium has also condemned the wave of massive Russian attacks on Ukraine. The head of the Belgian Foreign Ministry, Maxime Provost, stated that Russia's attacks on Ukraine constitute a war crime. And these bombings are deliberately aimed at civilians, residential neighborhoods, hospitals, energy infrastructure, and vital facilities. Provost also highlighted the shelling of the Azerbaijani embassy. This is a direct attack on the fundamental principles of the international system. And the resilience of Ukrainians in the face of terror commands the deepest respect and solidarity. The Belgian minister emphasized,
They have killed and wounded innocent people, including children, and left entire communities in fear and darkness. Let's be very frank. These are simply war crimes. They are part of a systematic strategy to undermine the morale of the Ukrainian people. To the people of Ukraine, you are not alone. We stand with you. Together, in close cooperation with our European and international partners, we will continue to steadfastly support you and increase pressure on Russia until this illegal and immoral war is finally over. Maxime Prévost, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Belgium, on social network X.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.